Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. What the heck? We sue Palworld too. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. Stop it. Guest is already having fun. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Jeremy Schmidt. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including Nintendo suing Palworld, and then more Switch 2 leaks. And then on Thursday, Mark and I are ranking the the Zelda games by their magic systems. But in the meantime, please welcome to the show, host of Video Games, a Comedy Show, co-founder of Super NPC Radio, Jeremy Schmidt is here.
Hello, Patrick. Thank you so much for having me back, baby.
Yes, it's a delight to have you here.
Yes, games are back, Daddy. They're back and better than ever. They're coming out hot and ready.
Fresh.
I was in the video game slump, and now I'm video game pumped.
That's fantastic. I was in a video game rut, and now I'm in a video game glut.
Woo!
Woo! I apologize. We won't do that anymore.
But I mean it. I felt like in the throat. You know, summer's always a little slow.
Sure.
Traditionally slow.
Last year was not, but yes.
And last year was not, but I just feel like this year I've been very light on what's been getting me excited, and then all of a sudden it feels like the floodgates sort of opened, and among everything else, we have a new Zelda coming out this very week,
which is incredible. And you are a platform agnostic game liker. But you're also a Nintendo boy.
I mean, I would say like I'm mostly a Nintendo. I guess my silver medal's the PlayStation.
Sure. Well, and you've been climbing that Erd tree.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love a Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
But like it is the Switch stuff that I really. That's how I tell time. It's based on what games came out to Switch.
Right. Have we had a Nintendo Direct or no?
Yes,
that's how I mark the seasons. And it's obviously been a weird year for Nintendo. Switch is in its death throes. Still putting out the occasional awesome game. Oh, actually, this is something I wanted to touch on. You know what? Let's do some business, and then we'll get to some of these things in the course of business.
Briefcase,
okay, and it's full of dollar bills, singles. Bundled together.
Got my tie on.
If you want to add some singles to that briefcase, you can head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you are supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries. We are currently making our way through Season 2 of NCS Arcade, where we are, the last episode we just put out, Elite Beat Agents for the DS. The next one, Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow.
And I was very happy to see this in the show notes.
Were you?
I was thrilled to see it because, as fans of my show know, I'm like a serial game collections enthusiast.
Yeah, it's hard to. Here's the thing: everyone's been so good about them this generation.
Oh, and these Konami ones are so syrupy sweet.
Yep.
Honestly, with collections, I say the worse the better.
Oh, go on.
I mean, I like a bad one. I like a good one. I like a medium one.
I've done all of the Castlevania ones and all of the Capcom fighting ones. Most of the Mega Man ones too.
I've done all the Mega Mans. I've done all the Capcom.
Battle Network. I'm gonna press you on that one. Both Battle Networks.
I've done both Battle Networks.
Wow.
And Patrick, would you believe it? I haven't even turned them on.
Jeremy, I would I would in fact believe that. But so are you a fan of Dawn of Sorrow? Is that a game that you have familiarity with?
So before they even announced this collection, I have been taking my DS with me to bed, and I had been playing through some of the Castlevania DS games, of which I think are probably as top tier Castlevanias get. I mean, I think Aria of Sorrow is great. It is as good as those got on that console, and I think they just got better on the DS. I love them, and I think Order of Ecclesia might be my top favorite one on the DS.
That's one of the DS ones. And then like, what's the one with like an R? There's a prominent R in it.
Ritual of no, I don't.
Not a Rondo. Doesn't matter.
Well, it's Rondo of Blood.
Right, but that's not on there.
No, that's not on there. Yeah. Well, it has the 3DS games, and then it has Haunted Mansion, and then M2 made this is the collection.
Yes.
Do you own this?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how I was going to assume that's how you're going to play it.
Yes. Well, I don't know actually, because there's a weird like presentational thing where it like simulates having the two screens by doing some like weird blocks on like the right side of the screen.
It's not good.
So I don't know. I'm debating getting a DS cart and just popping it into my 3DS and playing it that way.
Quite personally,
yep,
I'd do that. But if you have that collection, one thing I wouldn't sleep on is the M2 remade the Haunted Mansion arcade game.
Yes, so I did spend a little time messing around with this because like the arcade game in its original incarnation is like a awful, difficult mess, right?
Hard as nails.
Hard as nails, as you know, arcade games of the time were kind of want to just like drain your quarters.
Right.
And so that is they have rebalanced that and remixed it so it is like playable on, which is amazing that they would ever do that with like these old games of like totally transforming it.
Yeah. Incredible. About a 2.5 hour long experience if you just want to blow through it. I mean, I did it one afternoon and just it great. I loved it.
I played it for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've had the experience with it. Maybe I'll go back. I don't know.
Did you see Frankenstein?
Did I see Frankenstein? What an interesting question. Like at the grocery store.
If you didn't see Frankenstein in that game,
keep playing.
Go back and find it.
All right, I'll go and find Frankenstein. If you are following us for free on Patreon or at any level, you have access to our listener feedback episodes. That's where we will take emails about the games that we've been playing and just sort of read through them, react to them. So whether you are contributing to the Patreon or not, you can have access to those. So if you have questions or comments or thoughts or memories about Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, you can email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com.
cnet.fart.
No, that's K. Come on. One day I'd like to have a .fart domain. And you can use that same email address, not the .fart, to get into our Discord. I'll send you an invitation. And then, of course, just last little bit of business is that all 4 issues of My Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle source book are in comic book stores right now.
How do we trigger the applause sound effect?
I don't have that. We're not on Video Games Comedy Show. I'm sorry. There's no soundboard here. Okay, a little debug from last week. Hannah, my friend Hannah, sent me a text to, first of all, scold me for not remembering that Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker is a PSP game and not a Vita game. I called it a Vita game.
Ooh, that's rough.
Here's the thing. I do that in passing all the time. I've never played Peace Walker, and I've never played a PSP.
Oh.
Is that a weird sin?
No, I've never played a PSP either.
Whoa! There's 2 no PSP boys right here.
Yeah, and it looks awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd love to get my hands on one someday.
It seems cool, but
yeah.
I think there are like 1 billion of them out in the wild.
Yes,
so,
and they're all hacked to pieces.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Peace Walker's good though.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Well, we were talking about the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 2, which not really clear what's going to be on that. Peace Walker probably should be, right?
What did you think should be on? I think 4, obviously.
Yeah, 4 Peace Walker. And then like, you know, the like the Game Boy like Acid, whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. Acid was for PSP.
Acid was PSP. Okay, what's the Game Boy one?
The Game Boy one's just called Metal Gear, but in Japan it had a subtitle called Ghost Babble.
There we go. Ghost Babble. Yeah. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. And then get like Acid on there. I believe all of the VR stuff is on like the VR missions. I believe that's on the first collection. So that's not necessary. And then they're not going to put 5 on this thing, right? On Volume 2? It's too big.
I'm trying to think if we have enough for a collection though with what we've just mentioned.
What about Rising Revengeance? Put that on there too.
Rising?
Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Isn't that the name of that game?
Oh, is that the name of it?
I believe so. The one where you're riding, chopping stuff up?
I don't know if that's cheating. Have you played that game?
No.
It is made by Platinum.
Sure.
It is just straight. It's not a Metal Gear game. It is just straight up a beat 'em
The name
up.
of the game is Metal Gear.
I know, buddy, but like it's not. There's nothing in. It's Raiden, and you are doing combos.
Yeah.
Level-based combos.
Yeah, I mean but I mean, isn't Peace Walker also like a different genre of game?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
The other game, all the other games are Metal Gear. They're sneak. They're sneaky.
Right. This is too choppy.
I think
too slicey.
I think it could. I think put it on there.
Slice and dicey.
I say
put it on there.
But
I don't know why I'm getting pushback on put it on there.
But I don't think it. I don't think it. I just don't. The deals. Are they gonna make that deal? You know.
But okay, so it's Platinum made it. Did Konami publish it?
I'm sure.
So then they probably don't have to make any deals. They own it.
I don't know, man.
I would
I'm freaking
guess.
out about this. I'm freaking out.
No, don't freak out. It's
I'm
okay.
freaking out about this.
Hannah also wanted to point out that Mark called MGS3 Sons of Liberty, but obviously that's 2 and 3 is Snake Eater. Mark also seemed to think that they were remaking 4 and called it Metal Gear Solid Sigma. So we were all turned around.
I love this. I mean, you guys are Nintendo boys. No one ever accused you of being PlayStation.
I know
boys.
Metal Gear, okay? Oh, Twin Snakes. Twin Snakes should be on Volume 2.
That, I think, would fit better than Rising Revengeance.
I say let's get all Rising Revengeance, 4, Peace Walker, and Twin Snakes. That's a good collection right there.
Well, there's also another PSP game we're forgetting.
What? Okay.
It's and now I'm even forgetting the name, but it's a full Metal Gear campaign.
A full campaign?
It's called like
why do they keep making these things?
I don't know. When we did our
Portable Ops?
Portable Ops.
Okay.
When we did, that's what it's called.
Okay, yes.
When we did our Metal Gear Solid Games Club at our Patreon, Connor covered Portable Ops. So I don't know what happened.
Well, we got Connor on the show next week, so I'll ask him that. And then just a little note here, was talking to @Chaz Cheeto in the Super NPC Discord, and he was asking some follow-up, or they were asking some follow-up questions about we did our Emio the Smiling Man episode last week, which was like a full spoiler blowout. We did like 20 minutes of just sort of like general talk, and then
did you do that on a public feed?
Yeah.
I gotta hear this.
It's out there. So if you want to not have to play the game, you can just listen to us talk about it there. But Chess Cheeto was asking if there's any benefit to playing the first 2 games in Famicom Detective Club before diving into Emio, which I realized we did talk about at the end of the episode. And the games are not at all connected. There's the only benefit is that you get to play these cool games. So like, no, you're not missing out on anything. We did get an email, however, from Chariot Goblin, who said, by the way, there are a couple connections, but they're all like related to phone numbers that you can dial on your character's cell phone to get in touch with characters from the previous games.
Sorry, I'm codec only.
I'm codec only. And I only know how to call Meryl.
Yeah.
Because it's on the back of the CD case. I got that one. But so yes. All of which is to say, if you are thinking about playing Emio and you want to, but your hang up is you haven't played the first 2, who cares? Just jump into the new one. It's fun. They orient you properly. Don't worry about it. Jeremy, let's get into what we've been playing this week. Because you already teased me with there's something that I've been playing that you're not happy about.
Yes, sir.
Let's hear it.
I'm actually furious.
Okay, what is it? What's going on?
When I saw in the show notes that you had Marvel vs. Capcom fighting game collection.
Yeah, that's right.
I searing hot anger came over me.
Because I've not texted you to be like, let's play this game together.
And and I've been playing with July.
I know, I heard.
And the netcode's great.
Well, okay.
The lag
then I want to get in on that.
Not an issue.
Okay, well, that's good.
July, by the way. I don't know if your fans of your show know who July Diaz is, but July Diaz, friend, comedian, improviser, author.
We'll say friend of the show.
Yeah,
that's
friend
fine.
Friend of the show. He is he's ranked pretty high in X-Men versus Street Fighter. Yeah, he actually in like a couple nights got
he's
really
going
good for top 10 in that game.
Because I know I've played him in MBC2.
Yes.
On my Dreamcast at Connor's house. And he's good.
Yeah, he's very good at fighting games. He can pick them up very easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was listening to a little bit of your conversation. I listened to the whole episode. I don't know why I tried to downplay it. Like, I listened to the whole episode of you and July talking about the game.
Oh, okay, great. So you knew we were playing this already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew it today. I found out about it today,
right,
so it seems unfair that you would be mad at me about not. Because I didn't get a text from you being like, "Hey, play this game with us."
But here's the thing is,
let's hear it.
I shout from the rooftops about how much I love fighting games.
Yeah.
And how much I buy everything.
Every single one. Yeah.
And the worse, the better. I say.
Right.
But you.
That's the second time you said.
I've
the
never.
better.
I assume
What?
none of my friends like fighting games.
No. First of all, you and I have talked about fighting games several times.
We have talked about Street Fighter 6.
We talked about
and
Street Fighter 6.
You did bring the Dreamcast with Marvel vs. Capcom.
That's
2.
right.
Yeah. So I could have put 2 and 2 together there.
And I mean, if anything, I should be furious at you because we were talking about the next fighting game collection that's coming out.
Yes.
And said I'm not much of a Power Stone guy. I'm very much a Power Stone guy.
I that's misleading. I love Power Stone. I think I was trying to elevate
the other games in the collection.
The other game that I feel like no one had really, none of people in my circle had really fawned over, which is Capcom versus SNK 2. 2002 Millennium, whatever the second game is in that, which is one of the last great sprite-based fighters of ever made.
Yes, and one of those like everything and the kitchen sink kind of games, like just like MVC2, where it's just like this game has so much content in it that it's broken.
Yeah.
But that only makes it more fun. I've not really put too much time into the Marvel vs. Capcom fighting game collection.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention here that I am playing it.
Oh, that's okay. So have you played it at all?
Yes,
Okay.
but I have not played MVC2 at all.
Yes, I'm working your way through.
I'm kind of working my way through.
That's the way to do it, I think.
Well, and because like I had played a little bit of like Children of the Atom in arcades and like maybe like X-Men versus Street Fighter like 1 or 2 times, but the rest of the games are kind of mysteries to me. And even those, like I only have like a glancing knowledge, but like there's something so exciting about the 8-character roster of Children of the Atom, right? Where it's like, oh my god, this is like Street Fighter but with X-Men characters.
Incredible stuff.
It's so rad, and I wish I understood it better, but I just don't.
Like, what do you mean?
I just like I wish I. So there are some characters in the like Marvel lineup that I sort of intuitively know how they play, right? Like Wolverine, I got it. Wolverine, I got you. Cyclops, I know how you play, right? Iceman, I'm kind of like, what are your moves, buddy?
He's a trickster.
Yeah, okay.
Out there on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's doing those great moves where he's throwing something out while he's backing up.
Sure, yeah.
I love a good projectile while I'm backing up.
Controlling space.
Ooh, that's good. Putting distance as I'm. Yeah, it's a lot of distance. It's good.
So yeah, I gotta like I want to wrap my head around the earlier games because I like MVC2. I've always liked MVC2, but I kind of always view it as less of a fighting game and more of like a fighting game shaped fireworks display.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And I think a lot of those games in that collection are that.
Sure.
That's why I particularly love the earlier ones. Which, I think X-Men versus Street Fighter is the high watermark of this.
Before it starts going crazy.
Yeah, it just plays like Street Fighter, but with everybody, and it's like got a big roster, and it's that one to me is like that is a chef's kiss of a game as X-Men versus Street Fighter. I think that one's particularly nice.
Do they ever get back to that? Do you think like in the future are we ever going to get, or like because Infinite was Infinite or Infinity?
Oh, Marvel
What's the name
Capcom,
of the most Marvel?
Infinite.
Infinite.
What's the gauntlet? Is it the Infinity Stones?
It's an Infinity Gauntlet.
I think it's probably named after the Infinity.
That makes sense.
The tie-in. I bet they were tying it into the Avengers. At the
yes.
time.
Well, and the Infinity Stones are like part of it as well, just as they are in the first one, right? First Marvel vs. Capcom.
In Marvel vs. Capcom, or just Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
In Marvel superheroes, that's right. We know all about these games. We got all the specifics. We
It's
got
tough
them all
'cause
right here.
There's a lot of
there
them,
are, yeah.
and the mechanics of each one are way different, or not sometimes not so different. So they all kind of blend a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, like I was a big fan of 3. I loved MVC3.
That's what I was just gonna say. Is I feel like that's the best we're gonna get. Is that like because 3 feels like a toned down slightly version of 2. I thought.
Yeah, or like a balanced version of 2. But by the time it gets to the ultimate version and like all those extra characters are in there, I'm like, it's too big.
Yeah.
It feels like too much.
Yeah.
There was definitely a time in my life where I could wrap my head around like playing most of those characters, and then Ultimate came out, and I was like, nope, I lost it.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna get back.
3's great though. I mean,
Three's really good.
a good
We should
game.
play that game. Are there any other things we want to touch on that we've been playing this week, or should we move on? Like, what else have you been? You've been playing a little Pizza Tower.
I have been playing Pizza Tower. That
Mhm.
game is great. I understand it grosses you out too much, so we don't have to get into all the boogers and farts of
I
it.
didn't say that grossed me out too much.
But
I'm worried that it's too much, is what I said.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. If you like the Wario Land games,
Mhm.
jump in yesterday because it is that again, and it's great, and it's that today. I did want to check on your Nintendo World Championship
Oh yes.
stuff because I know we both got those beautiful Famicom
Yes.
controllers for our Switches.
Yes.
And I have been still keeping up weekly. I've been doing all the challenges every week on Monday morning.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you have like a set schedule, a set time that you do it? Because I find myself like forgetting about it, and so
Yeah.
sometimes I do the challenges, sometimes I don't. So you're doing them like the second they unlock to try and like get your best possible time.
Yeah, what happens is inevitably I'm like working from home and
Yeah.
I have like a little break and I'm putzing around the house and I'm like, oh, this is the I want to have a break for
Right.
exactly as long as it takes me to do all 6 of these or
Right.
whatever.
Which is what, like 17 seconds times 6?
Yeah, or like, well, they've been adding the legendary or master
great.
ones in there. So like, Samus escaping from
Right.
at the end of the game. That takes me 30 seconds. So
Right.
that's, if I have to do that 6 times to try to get an S ranking or whatever. But I've been still really enjoying that game, and it kind of even makes no sense because I don't think other people even like it. But I have been.
I think everyone who plays it likes it, but I think the potential for fall off is so high, right?
Huge.
That like as soon as you're not playing it, you can be not thinking about it and you'll be fine.
Yes, but I've been really enjoying just the loop of like getting as much cash as I can while I'm doing that,
Yep.
and buying up a bunch of the pins I don't have or
Yeah,
whatever.
Or
They're not pins.
They're like the
they're
badges or whatever they are.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you have any like prize possessions in your like 2,000 coin badges that you
Yes.
bought?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I got all the badges for Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah,
and I
that's
got
exciting.
all the badges from The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
So a couple of them cost a bunch of thousands of dollars. I think
Dollars. He's spending dollars.
dollars, baby, dollars. I think Princess Peach's dad was one of the most expensive ones for Super Mario Brothers 3. So the king, like he was a lot of money, and it was like, and I just saw the silhouette. I was like, what is it? And then I
Yeah.
bought it, and I was like, the king. So he was my guy for a while. He was my badge
That's
for a
cool.
while.
That's cool.
Uh,
My badges have all been strike super from the record.
Okay.
That's not part of what
Oh,
I'm
okay.
about to say.
Okay.
I'm going to go back.
Mhm.
My badges have all been from Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link,
oh, great.
which is
Did you get them all? Did you get all
I don't
those?
have them all.
Yeah.
I've not been playing the game as much. I was really interested in like getting all of them,
Mhm.
and then I was like, oh, but there's also some fun like. I was sort of like picking and choosing from other games too.
Yeah,
So I need to
totally,
commit. I need to
totally.
commit to get all the Zelda 2 ones. Got to know what is your favorite game on that you list as your favorite NES game?
Oh, it's I put Super Mario Bros.
Okay.
And it's not even right.
Well, then why don't you change it?
I'm gonna change it.
You
I
should
keep
you
forgetting.
should really change it.
But my catchphrase is Luigi obsessed.
That's good.
Yeah.
I believe my catchphrases grew up on the NES.
Ah.
That I was like, I need to be straight with people. I need to let them know
Yeah.
this is my home.
Uh-huh.
But my of course my favorite NES game is listed on there is of course Tiny Toons Cartoon Workshop. So that's just what I need. That's another thing I need to just be straightforward with people.
Yeah.
I
I did think it was
Mm.
and Star Tropics,
yeah.
which I
Is-
almost called Tropic Thunder just now. And I realized it's not that.
It's not that.
Yeah.
But man, what I wouldn't give for Tom Cruise in a fat suit to storm his way through Star Tropics.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Couldn't be bad.
All right. I think that's enough time on what we've been playing. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week. Which actually, last week, Nintendo was like, by the way, new games coming to Nintendo Switch Online, the Super NES library. One Super NES game and the rest Super Famicom games, which is always like kind of neat when they do that.
Yeah.
Just because it's fun to have access to games that you've never played before. The Super NES game is Battletoads Double Dragon, which of course I have a Super NES cart of.
Yep.
And have played into the ground. That game's not very good.
You don't think so?
I think it's a pretty good Double Dragon game, but a pretty bad Battletoads game.
I was gonna say the exact opposite. I think
Whoa!
I think it's the best Battletoads game.
Well, the best Battletoads is called Battletoads, and it's on NES.
I mean, look. I feel like that's just
Yeah.
like that take is you're putting on boxing gloves. You
I-
want to
I-
go toe to toe.
and I can.
And I'm here to say,
Yeah.
I like Battletoads fine. I just think it's really hard.
It is very hard.
And this game's way easier. Like
It's much easier. Yeah.
You know, Battletoads game is my favorite though. Is the reimagining of Battletoads. that
Oh
they did
yeah, on the Xbox one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that game is fun. I've not seen the end of it, but
It's very funny. It's a very,
Very
funny
funny.
game. But yeah, Double Dragon's always good. I think always mostly good. Is it not? What? Tell me about this game though. From my memory, it was the best of both worlds.
No, see, and I feel like it is not. No, that's I do think that some of my affinity for Battletoads, both the original and the Game Boy version, is in that like hyper memorization and like really learning the vehicle levels and complex maps and stuff like that. And Battletoads Double Dragon, for me, too frequently defaults to the sort of like Final Fight-esque brawler as like a level type, and that's where I'm like, for me, that's Battletoads run out of ideas. That's level 1 of Battletoads,
Yeah.
right?
And that's almost all Double Dragon is.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I don't really like Double Dragon.
Interesting.
I do like
didn't-
brawlers though.
Yeah, and Double Dragon was pretty creative. I would say Double Dragon is more creative of a brawler. Double Dragon 2 on the NES.
Yeah.
Is more not better, but more creative
Uh-huh.
than Streets of Rage 2. And the reason I think that
Yes.
is because in Double Dragon 2, you get to climb ladders.
That is pretty cool. I can't argue against that. The other games that came out, the Super Famicom games, are Big Run, which is like a racing game, Cosmo Gang, the puzzle, which I'm not going to attempt to know what that is, and then Kunio-kun no Dodgeball, the
More
Super
Double
NES.
Dragon stuff.
Well, I like Kunio-kun games. I think they're cool. But have you ever played either the NES Dodgeball or the Super Famicom Dodgeball?
No.
Very framey, very slow downy
Yeah.
type of games. Almost impossible to play.
Gotcha.
But those games are all out on Switch now on NSO. Coming out today, Tuesday, September 24th, Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed. Out. That revealed in a Nintendo Direct recently, or maybe a couple directs back. Do you have any interest in Epic Mickey?
Well, I played this.
Yes,
On the Wii.
a long time ago.
A long time ago, and really liked it. And for like a kind of like a Banjo-Kazooie clone,
Sure.
was thinking about picking it up again, only because Astro Bot's got me thirsty.
It's got you
for
platforming,
third-person platform.
Mm-hmm.
And if this game looks nice enough and plays well, it's kind. Do you know that the conceit of this game is like you're in Disneyland, basically. Your hub world is Disneyland.
Right.
Yeah, which is cool. Like, and it kind of works, like. I'm not selling it great.
No,
but
not really. But like the I know that part of like in its original like Wii incarnation, there were like the sort of compromises made with the camera that sort of always happened with 3D platformers on Wii. And that for the Rebrush version, they're like, you got 2 thumbsticks. It's normal, right?
Great.
So yeah, I mean, I'm interested in this game. Sort of thinking like, can wait for a price drop.
Is there a physical edition of this?
Great question. No one knows.
Okay.
Coming out on Thursday, of course, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. Very exciting. The new Zelda game. What are you gonna do?
What if I was like not play it.
Yeah. We learned this week, or it's been all but confirmed that it was developed by Grezzo, the team that did Link's Awakening and also the 3D remakes of the Nintendo 64 games.
Yeah.
Which great. Glad Grezzo's finally getting to make a new Zelda game.
And I feel like they are maybe just now getting the celebration that they
Yes.
have earned.
Yeah.
Those 3DS games are absolute masterpieces. Like they're
Yes.
so well done. Those remasters or whatever. And then of course Link's Awakening is great.
I always wanted on the 3DS for them to make a new Nintendo 64 Zelda game. And like they're kind of getting to do that here, just in the Link's Awakening
It'll just
engine.
look like
yeah,
like toys.
It'll look like toys, which I like. I like toys.
I love it. I love that Link's Awakening game.
Mhm.
I'm so excited.
Yeah,
for this. I can't wait. And I mean, I don't know, man. Part of me feels like I need to kind of dial back the hype I'm feeling about it, because I'm like I'm feeling that like, oh, this is gonna be my game of the year.
I think it's possible. I think that's again, like, not a super crowded year, but like we'll see. A matter of days and it'll be out.
It has to beat Rebirth. It has to beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Which tough, right?
That'll
you and
be
I both really liked
very,
Final
very
Fantasy VII
tough,
Rebirth.
yeah.
Well, we'll see. And then the Nintendo Switch Lite Hyrule Edition also comes out the same day. Of course, I am honor bound to buy everything Nintendo puts out this year, so I've got this pre-ordered.
You really pre-ordered this?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! And the Switch 2 is right around the corner.
Here's the thing: Mark and I talk about this frequently. That there is always like a part of us that's like, oh man, I wish I just had a like unopened DS, an unopened 3DS, something that I could just crack open when my current hardware is just like worn and dead and gone, that I can just like access this. The screen hasn't been tapped a million times. I haven't, spilled pudding on it or whatever.
I do this with controllers. I actually have boxed controllers in my closet for when like a GameCube one starts to fall.
There you go.
I got a new one.
You got a new one right there.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. Also, I am honor bound because I said that I was going to do it.
I cannot believe it, though. That is so wild. Hey, but it's the cheapest that Switch is ever going to be.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a $200 purchase, which is not, that's money, but like, it'll be one of those things that like
$600 by next year.
Yeah, so. Exactly. And then also coming out on Thursday, Worms Armageddon Anniversary Edition, and on Friday, Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports is coming out. I just bring these up to mention that these are games that were featured in the third-party like partner showcase a couple weeks ago at the end of August.
Showcase.
It was a great showcase, but like, also in that showcase was that Funko Fusion game, which released last week.
Mm-hmm.
And that game looks like dog doo-doo. And I anticipate that Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports similarly doo-doo. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you remember on the GameCube when Looney Tunes would make like really good, they'd come out with like really good games?
I don't really, but
they'd have
I'll
like
take your word for
a
it,
basketball game come out.
Yeah.
It'd be like,
this is surprisingly good.
Great.
I don't have any faith that that's the case now.
No, surely not.
All right, well, we'll see. All right, Jeremy, let's get let's close out the new releases here. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Jeremy and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. We're talking about Magic.
Mm-hmm.
You went to the Magic Castle.
And not the Gathering.
We are not talking about the Gathering.
No.
Because do you know my thing with Magic the Gathering?
No.
I played it in junior high school. A lot.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so you know some of the cards.
Yeah, I know. Baby, there was a time when I knew all the cards.
Okay.
That was, 20 years ago.
Sure.
But no, that's when like I truly uncovered that like I am capable of levels of obsession that I should be actively avoiding.
Yeah, right.
Where
right.
like magic would be the first thing I was thinking about when I woke up, and it was the last thing I thought about before I went to sleep.
Yes.
My
I
friends
understand.
sold their magic cards at Gen Con one year and quit playing the game while I was on vacation with my family to Washington, D.C. When I returned, they said, "We're going to Ryan's house. Don't bring your cards." We sold our cards. And I was like, yeah, right. Showed up at Ryan's mom's house with my deck, and they didn't have cards anymore. They moved on from Magic without me.
Oh my god! That I feel like that there's something traumatic about that.
Yes.
But lesson learned.
Right. So now
You can't trust anyone.
I can't trust. A, I can't trust anyone. B, I will never touch a Magic card ever again in my life.
Oh wow!
No,
I love that. I mean, I hate that for you, but
Right.
that is.
I mean, it
what
was-
a formative experience.
Yes, exactly. Which means that we're just talking about like the art of Magic now.
Yes, the art, and I'm glad you called it an art.
Yes. What do you do? Do you do any magic tricks? Have you ever been a little magic boy?
I've never been a little magic boy. There was a magic trick I knew how to do, and I used to do it as a party thing.
Yeah.
And basically, are you aware of card tricks, any of them, and how they work? Like, there's a lot of them that work the same way.
Okay.
And they're like elimination tricks.
Okay,
And I'll
yes.
kind of just review. You've seen this before, right?
Yeah, you're the masked magician here. You're giving away
yes,
the
I'm
secrets.
giving away a secret
Right.
here, which is basically there are some tricks where we get to your card by eliminating other cards.
Sure.
And what you don't realize is that you're basically, anytime you're given a 50-50 choice, I'm removing the thing that I want to remove.
Yes.
So if you say you picked left versus right, I might be like, okay, perfect, and I remove the left, making you think you removed the left.
Sure.
But if the card I wanted was the right one, I would have removed the right, making you think that you had chosen the left to stay.
Gotcha.
Anyways, so I used to do this trick that basically was like you picked a card and I revealed your card, but I would build on the trick where I would have the deck, half the deck in my pocket, half the deck on a table in another room.
Oh, that's fun.
And then people would be like picking from, and lo and behold, I'd have their card in my pocket or whatever it was.
Right.
I don't remember how to do it now. But that was my magic trick. I used to do this. Oh my gosh, I'd be hammered, and people would be furious that I was taking so long to do this.
Right. Well, you're really dragging it out.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm really dragging it. I'm really making a meal out of it.
Of course, you're turning a magic trick into a Shaggy Dog story.
Yes.
Because
yes.
that's fun.
Yes, it's very fun to do that. Yeah.
As a child, I remember getting those like Klutz magic books, and the ones that would come with like the fake thumb that you could like jam the handkerchief in. But I was never any good at them, and I had no patience because I would do the trick on my brother, right? And then he'd be like, okay, like he knew I had this book, so like it wasn't impressive, right?
Yeah.
And then I would just stop.
Yeah.
As an adult, how do you feel about magic?
Look, as a person who just went to the Magic Castle in beautiful, sunny Los Angeles, California, I still think that the most impressive magic that isn't like illusion
Sure.
or something is close-up.
Yes.
The close-up magic stuff, if anyone's ever seen it done close-up, it's really incredible.
Yeah.
The stuff where it's like, they're slipping things in your pocket. You know what I mean? They're doing real weird.
Or like pulling cards out of places,
Yeah.
like out of your purse,
Right.
and like it's a card that you marked with like a Sharpie or
I
something.
mean, we literally were at the Magic Castle and had somebody do that, where my sister wrote down a bunch of names on a card
right.
and put it in a deck, and there had already been a folded up, crumpled up piece of paper on the table that whole time.
Yeah.
And of course, when she uncrumpled it, it was the card she wrote on.
Which, how is that even possible?
I don't know. It's not possible. It's tricks and lies.
Right. Well, but to some extent, what you see has happened to some extent.
Yeah. True. And of course, most close-up magicians, cool as a cucumber. Just.
Oh, and of course, we will never know the end of what they are, in addition to being cool as a cucumber. We were accompanied today by an ensemble at the Musical Instrument Museum in Phoenix. Jeremy, let's get into the news. All right. Let's talk about it. Nintendo and the Pokemon Company filed a patent infringement
patent?
lawsuit. A patent infringement lawsuit against Pocket Pair, the developer of Palworld. On some level, this felt like some amount of an inevitability, as the elevator pitch for Palworld, at least the first couple times it was shown off, was Pokemon with guns.
Yeah.
Even if the final game ended up being more of like a survival game, not really all that similar to Pokemon.
Right. It was just the designs were AI rips of Pokemon, right? Was that the
That's sort
premise?
of yes. That is like the easily leveled criticism against the game, is that these characters that are called pals.
And I wasn't sure if it was a proven thing. You're saying it was just people, that was their critique, because this seems like AI.
Right.
They never came out and were like, oh yeah, no, we used AI
to steal these designs from Nintendo.
They never said that.
They never said that. And
Okay.
that is very interestingly not what Nintendo is alleging here. So these are not yeah, we'll approach these things a little bit out of order here, but Nintendo is not filing copyright or trademark infringements on the character designs here. They're not making the argument that all you did was rip off Pokemon characters.
Okay.
The lawsuit is about game design patents. So they are using, and this is where it gets murky, because it is not clear exactly what patents they are claiming that Palworld is infringing on. That's going to be part of the court case as it plays out. But for right now, it doesn't seem like what they're saying is that thing looks too much like Pikachu with an AK-47 in its hand. But there's some arcane gameplay patent that Palworld is infringing on.
Okay. I have thoughts immediately, but I want to hear what you think. Or is there more info here?
I guess the little bit more info is that Nintendo's legal team seldom takes on a case that they don't think they're going to win.
For sure.
So it seems like they probably have a case somewhere, but a lot of there are some very arcane, trivial, petty gameplay patents that are out there. Just to list a few, like Shadow of War, that Lord of the Rings game from a decade ago, has a patent on the Nemesis system, which is you fight a guy, you defeat that guy, he comes back later, and he's been changed by the fact that however you beat him. Yeah, he's your best friend now.
That's how I make all of my friends.
That's how we're friends. And so that the Nemesis system is tied up in their patent.
Yes.
So no one else can use a system like that, even if they design it from scratch.
Right.
Nintendo for a long time owned the patent for the cross-shaped D-pads on controllers that ran out in 2006. Namco owns the patent for letting you play a mini game during a loading screen. BioWare holds the patent on dialogue wheels.
Wow.
So some of these things feel like they should be open for anyone to use, right?
I know one.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Crazy Taxi owns the arrow.
The direction arrow.
That points you where to go.
Yeah. Nuts, right?
I learned that one time.
Seems like these are the kind of things that should be available for every it's just a tool, right? That
interesting. Yeah.
Where's
where's the line is
where's
the big
line?
question.
Right. So your thoughts then on what is happening here?
Okay. So there's a couple of things that I think were said that's just on their face I have a feeling about.
Yeah.
They're suing over some sort of arcane gameplay mechanic, right?
Yeah.
To me, feels like what happened was their legal team got together and realized they probably wouldn't win in a case about copyright infringement.
Right.
But that they could win in another way. So this is basically them suing them for that, just coded.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that was one thought.
Which because when this was originally reported, I was seeing a lot of people being Nintendo's being sort of patent trolly on this, and I was like, well, but they sure are stealing these designs, right? That sort of seems inarguable, but maybe not illegal or not actionable on a legal level. Them getting to it on a technicality that's busting Capone on tax evasion, right?
Yes, which I think Nintendo is not above doing.
I don't think Nintendo's above doing it either.
Yeah. I think that they, especially when we think about all the emulation stuff.
Totally.
I'm not 100% sure on like I haven't looked into those cases well enough to know exactly what they're suing and getting them on.
Right.
Distribution of ROMs. Does it have to be connected to money to distribute ROM? When does it
Right.
technically become the thing that they can beat out?
Well, and sort of famously, all this stuff has never actually been taken like through to like a jury or like to a courtroom because no one knows how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and either way could be a like precedent shedding moment for either side of like, no, emulation is totally fine. If Nintendo's not selling it, then there's nothing wrong with it. That could be the way a case like that goes.
Yeah.
Or it could be the exact opposite. And both parties, to the extent that like the pirating community is a party, no one really presses it that hard. So like Nintendo will get on those like emulation sites that are hosting ROMs or whatever, and rather than take it to that logical extreme, they just back down.
Yeah, right. And I think that there's something here about like, and I mean, I guess I wonder more than anything else, like, is Nintendo at any point slightly fearful that if they do lose, they do set up a very dangerous precedent? Like by losing a case like that,
right?
You put yourself in a compromised position where now suddenly you don't. That can be then used by anybody in any kind of way, and they'll cite that court case as a reference. Here's one thing I will say, and as a person who's never played Palworld, I think Palworld sucks. So I'm kind of split here because I don't like Nintendo being like gangsters who come in and shake you down for, hey, you got too close to. Because is Palworld really taking money out of Pokemon's pocket? Heck no, there's just no way.
Right, but there is this sort of thing of like, if Pocket Pair can get away with this, what can the next company get away with, right? And part of like defending your trademarks, which they're not doing here, right? They're defending their right to patents.
Yeah.
But part of defending your trademark is really just to further establish the trademark. If you aren't like actively defending or like going after someone using your copyrighted material, then it becomes harder for you to do so in the future.
Yeah.
Because the lawyer can just say like, well, they didn't care about this, this, and this. Why is my client being singled out?
Yeah.
So like, I get they have to do something, but I don't even know that this is like setting the right precedent for them.
I mean, I know that I can assume that they know more than we do and are smarter in some way, litigiously.
Right.
But I don't typically like this, or this aspect of Nintendo always sort of, along with Disney, breaks the illusion of the thing I think I like is actually this, Hydra. But Palworld, I mean, Pokemon with guns is lazy. It's not. It's,
sure.
It's. I don't like it. I don't respect it. It reminds me of, like, I don't know. It's just
it's
like
Chimp Pokemon, right?
It's NFT
the South
game,
Park,
nightmare.
Also that,
yeah. I cannot abide a Palworld, but I don't know if I love the circumstance. Regardless,
it's interesting because it's one of those things where I'm like, I just want Palworld to fail in the marketplace of ideas. But that's also, that's also to go back to Al Capone, where I'm like, no, it's probably good they got him somehow,
But and I mean, like, we can almost trust that Nintendo wouldn't then start coming for a bunch of other games that probably are guilty of the same thing.
Sure.
But the idea that, like, let's just say, this is a hypothetical because I'm sure that they're safe and covered. But like, if Nintendo was to go after Blossom Tales, because it's too much like a Zelda game, and now suddenly we can't do. We didn't know they owned the patent to top-down exploration-based games, or something like, or with a certain progression system or a certain puzzle design. Like, that would really bum me out because Nintendo is nothing if not irresponsible with their own IP and development. I mean, like, we literally were talking about Pizza Tower and being like, it's a Wario Land game. Why is that exciting?
Because there hasn't been one since the Wii.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
So I
feel because like, as a fan of Nintendo, I'm dumb enough to think that I love them as a company and that possibly they care about me. I'm just that stupid.
Yeah.
But They don't.
Mario loves you.
Mario does love me, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
Well, he and I have been on so many adventures together.
Yeah, their legal team is
Something else.
yeah.
So yeah, it can be like difficult to be like, oh yeah, of course, it's just it's a corporation like any other corporation. It defends its interests in ways as aggressive as they can.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes that's reasonable, and sometimes it's like this. And even when they're like going up against something that I'm like, yeah, that target, I kind of hate that target. I'm like, yeah, but why do I hate it?
Right.
And it's because I think it feels lazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's always going to be tough is when you're like, "Oh no.
Oh no.
They're suing.
What do we do?
Yeah.
And standard disclaimer here, of course, neither Jeremy or I are lawyers
No.
or know anything about the law.
Yeah.
So we who knows? We don't have any real insight here.
And that's another thing I don't respect is the law. And I wanted to make that very clear on
Right.
this podcast
That's
today.
right.
I don't like the law
Mhm.
or rules. So yeah.
So maybe everyone should just get to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Famously, of course, your Twitter handle is Ocarina of Crime.
And
You're
what
a
is
big fan
crime?
of crime, right?
Breaking the law,
Breaking
and the
the law.
rules, and the rules.
So I don't know. We'll probably find out more about this as we go. I imagine they just settle at some point, right?
Yeah, and I mean maybe I don't I'm trying to think if I like if this is just hey, give us $1 million, Palworld.
Sure.
I kind of almost like that bratty energy of like, oh, you made fun of us. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Guess what?
Guess
Give
what?
us $1 million.
Now we steal your characters.
Yeah.
They're the new Pokemon.
That's so good because I think when you have a healthy relationship between companies,
Yes.
really cool stuff can happen, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll have references to games in other games, sometimes explicit, sometimes more Easter eggy, that are more loving and then you'll have conversations going back and forth between games sometimes over time.
But this feels like it's a well poisoning thing.
This feels like it could, certain consequences from this could obliterate things like that, from happening. But
Well, we'll find out more as we go here.
yeah, I'll be watching it on C-SPAN.
That's right. 24 hours a day.
Yes.
We will not stop. C-SPAN, they don't do court cases, right?
They
Especially
will
international court cases.
absolutely cover this.
All right. A factory prototype for the Switch 2 has reportedly leaked. This is all rumor. And
I almost texted you guys, though, because I think the leak was very compelling.
So, yes, the leak is compelling, and Digital Foundry has weighed in to say that the images are, quote, almost certainly real.
Yeah.
So it seems like what we're seeing is probably what the next Switch is going to be. We got a larger screen, we got bigger Joy-Con, and then there's a USB-C port on top and bottom, and then there are specs. I don't know what these specs mean, Jeremy.
Okay, let's read them.
I did not.
I did. There was a faster HDMI.
Mm-hmm. 2 cooling fans.
Great. I think people were also talking about the USB-C port on top being
Yes.
very positive change because if you ever had to charge and play simultaneously,
Yeah, that could be a pain in the butt.
right? Because it's coming out. It's like Dreamcast style. The cord comes.
Yes,
From the bottom.
but without like a thing to feed up through
Right,
the
right.
Yeah. I mean that's a good design thing. It's interesting that it's not just that they have relocated it to the top. It is now there are 2 of them.
Yeah, because there's still a dock. I'm assuming.
Yeah, but you could dock upside down, right?
You could, but that doesn't feel like Nintendo would.
Tell you what I'm going to do all the
abide
time.
that.
I'm going to dock upside down.
I like that. What do you think? Okay, the only real thing I remember being like, oh, this is a huge, meaningful change that I think I'm just generally pro is the magnetic Joy-Con thing.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting if nothing else.
I like. I think that I have always. I like the sound that it makes when you click those things in.
Mhm.
I think that I've always just been so afraid I'm gonna break something.
Yeah, because there's that like little release button that you got to like hold and then
Yeah.
like pull.
And there's like maybe I'm drunk and I'm putting one in the wrong side, and then I've jammed it in too hard.
And the what are the things called? The like little toppers, the like grips. What are those things called that have the like the wrist strap on them?
yeah. Mhm.
Those I feel like I put on backwards or upside down
Yep.
all the time.
Yep. And I mean that's yes, absolutely.
And I'm missing one. I think
Yeah.
I lost one at Connors.
I think he has one of my. I think he has one of my USB dongles
Yeah.
for a control, and he won't tell me he has it. In fact,
Let's
he
go
says
over
he
there
doesn't
right
have it.
now.
I love this.
Yeah.
I think this is great. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. Give me the new Switch.
Give me the new Switch.
Yeah.
I want it now. Do you think,
Yes.
Jeremy, this USB-C port on top and bottom has me thinking, we got any dual screen action kind of stuff going on here? Is that possible?
Man.
Can you jam your old Switch on top of that and get a dual screen kind of thing going on?
Holy.
Or is it like you can also just like feed it straight out to the TV from the USB-C on top, like, and then
No,
you use
I'm
the
gonna
one
say
as
no.
bottom screen? No, Jeremy says no dual screens.
I'm gonna say no dual screens. It would force the Switch 2 to be the bottom screen. Right.
I suppose yes.
So if let's say you had two Switches.
Or a Switch 2 and a Switch.
That's why I don't think.
Because
it'll
that
do.
top screen is that's a good point.
But what a solution that would be to the DS problem. Because the DS problem is, I think it's one of the bigger problems that we are facing as a community.
It's like climate change in that it's going to be a bigger problem further down the road. And
It is!
right now we're like, we think it's going to be a problem, but we have not come to terms with that fact that it's going to be a huge problem. It's not just a DS.
Yeah.
It's a 3DS and it's a Wii U.
Right. And
right?
you think I'm going to forget about Spirit Tracks, and you're wrong.
I simply
will
simply
never
will
forget
not.
about that.
I will never forget about The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks.
Yeah.
I'm never going to forget about Contact.
No.
I'm never going to forget about Dylan's Dead Heat Racers.
Exactly.
I'm never going to forget about Codename Steam.
Exactly.
So we need a Greta Thunberg here,
Mm-hmm.
figure to advocate for us.
Yeah, I'm so curious because you brought up the Castlevania problem earlier.
Yep.
And Capcom hasn't solved it with any of their DS stuff. It's hard. And by the way, it wasn't good on the Wii U.
No.
Even though it couldn't. It just wasn't. It wasn't good.
Right. There's no real like doing like bottom screen in your hand, top screen on the TV is like they were too locked into the form factor of the screens are literally on top of each other.
Gosh, that's such a good.
And it's such a good form factor.
Yeah, I love it.
So I don't know, Jeremy. When do you think we find out more about this thing?
When do I think we will?
Yeah.
As a Nintendo expert,
next year.
Are we? You think next year
I
we'll
think
find out?
I think it's possible we get a tease before the end of the year, but I don't think we get a name, a price, a date, launch software, anything until after they've had one more Christmas to sell the Switch, the vanilla Switch.
Is that how the original Switch worked?
Yes,
we weren't getting trailers for that in
we got
2016?
we got one trailer at the end of 2016, like October. That was where we saw them, like we saw Breath of the Wild, we saw Skyrim,
right?
And it was all like set to this song. We saw that lady seeing her friends having a party on a rooftop,
on a cool like Brooklyn.
That's right. And she's
high-rise.
like, I know, I'll bring Mario Odyssey over.
Yeah.
So we had that. I don't even think we'll get that much. I think they really, really just want to sell regular Switch through this one last holiday season where the Switch is relevant before revealing to the world what the next thing is. But I could be wrong. It could be, looking to the past is never a good indicator of what Nintendo's going to do in the future.
Yeah, you're definitely, what you're saying is definitely a better business strategy. Like coldly, it's a better business strategy. Which
as they sue Palworld for
as they sue
patent
Palworld,
infringement.
another good business strategy.
Right.
strategy.
That's
And
what we have to
also,
about.
I think a third good business strategy is if for the new commercial is they get everyone from the first commercial.
Oh my
But
God!
older now,
Right,
and like where are they now?
that'd be so good. And each one of them, one by one, throws their old Switch in the trash.
Yeah, like I can't bring this to the skate park. What was I thinking?
People are gonna make fun of me.
Yeah, the Switch 2? They'll never make fun of me for this.
I'll be heralded as a god. They'll carry me off on their shoulders.
I mean, I do not remember. I guess I was pretty psyched for the PlayStation 5. I'll be honest, but this Switch 2. I mean, it's like because I have never gotten a new. I've only had the base model 2017 Switch.
So you're still rocking original recipe.
And it is, when I say it is crashing,
Yeah.
like every 6 times. I
That's-
won't be crazy. 6 times.
Sure.
Every 6 times I turn it on, something weird happens and I can't get back out of the shop. I'm like,
Uh-oh.
it's slowing down.
And yes, and even
Hard
with
drive
my
space.
OLED,
Did they say anything about hard drive space, like internal storage?
I did not copy down these specs because I don't know what they mean.
I'm assuming it's going to be more. It dearly needs more.
More space.
I mean,
Yeah.
it needs. I don't know what the original internals are on the Switch. If it's,
I mean, I jammed a big old memory card in there right away.
yeah.
Because you gotta.
Yeah, at 512, the base for a new Switch should be 512.
Yep. A data miner with the handle Luigi Blood has unearthed some code in the most recent update for the Super NES Nintendo Switch Online library that suggests Nintendo may be able to add support for the Super NES mouse controller. Yeah.
By the way, I was recently in Japan, took a trip to Japan, almost bought a
I love that mouse so much.
mouse. But one thing I did buy though,
Yeah.
well, I bought the dog bone NES controller.
Cool, yeah.
Which was cool. And then I bought a original Super Famicom controller.
Oh,
in
man.
very good condition. Like
That's so
very
cool.
good condition. But I almost bought that stupid mouse. Somebody sells that now.
As like a
I think it might be like
USB mouse?
Hyperkin.
Yeah.
No, not a USB.
Oh,
for
with-
your Super Nintendo.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I say I love that mouse, but like, it uses the old like mouse ball
Yeah,
technology
uh-huh.
that no mouses now use.
Right.
Mouses?
Mice.
Oh, Mies. Sorry. That's right. I would love a mouse that looks like that, but has like the sort of laser that like a normal mouse has.
Yeah, you don't want to have like the feel too,
Maybe I do want the feel. I don't know.
because you could full on
Yeah.
take that ball out.
Yeah.
Because I did this frequently. Take a ball and put it in your mouth.
Oh yeah. No, I did.
I used to
did
do
it
that
too.
constantly.
Yes. No, I always put things in my mouth as a child. But okay, so there are very few Super NES games that actually use the mouse at all.
Yeah, but just only the best one,
Well, Mario Paint.
Mario Paint. Yeah.
Mario Paint includes the minigame Coffee Break,
Mhm.
where you're swatting flies
Yep.
with a little fly swatter.
And of course, taught us all how to play music.
Yes, love that music maker
Mhm.
in Mario Paint. Like if they did this, if they introduced like mouse functionality, they'd have to sell a new mouse, right? Or is it just like you can? I mean, either way, if they sell a mouse, I'm gonna buy it.
If they sold because if it was a Switch version,
Yeah,
it would be probably a Bluetooth connected.
yeah,
It wouldn't be like I don't think it would be a wired in
no,
situation. And
probably
it
not.
would be like whatever the laser
yeah.
thing is.
It would be like a modern
yeah,
mouse,
Yeah.
but it would have just two big purple buttons on it.
Is there any other game in the world that would be fun to play on the Switch with a mouse?
So there is a Japan-only game called Mario and Wario, which for some reason is all in English, even though it has never been released outside of Japan. And it's sort of a proto Mario versus Donkey Kong, where Mario gets like a bucket or something dropped on his head at the beginning of the levels. He's walking around blindly, and you have to click on like obstacles to like move them away and like alter the environment so he can
cool.
get back to Luigi, who takes the bucket off of his head and then sort of continues on there. So
Yeah.
we were just talking about the Super Famicom games that came to NSO. Why not this one?
What? Good. I mean, I'd love it. I would definitely buy it too. I don't know why they would do that though.
It is a little perplexing. I wrote down a couple other games that have mouse capability. Jurassic Park in the first person segments, you could play that with the mouse.
Oh, so you had to switch controllers to.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. You didn't have to. You could play with the controller normally. Light gun games, or some of them, Revolution X, the Aerosmith game, and T2. You could use the mouse in either of those. And then of course the Super Game Boy had functionality with the mouse where you could like draw on like borders and
Oh
and
yeah, I
backgrounds and
remember
stuff.
that.
So there's that's like 6 cool things you could do with the mouse.
Man, but no. I would not mind Yoshi's Safari support some way somehow.
I don't think. Well, If they could just patch in those controls, like that would be
Yeah,
good.
that would be that's a different thing though. Super Game Boy. That just reminded me. Like, is there a Super Game Boy thing you can do on NSO yet? Like, can you do the
No.
borders from here?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, you cannot.
A lot of possibilities for things that I think only very small amounts of people would appreciate or like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the games that was like played extra nice with the Super Game Boy was that Donkey Kong 94,
So
right?
great. Yeah.
And that's one of the best Game Boy games there is. It's not on NSO yet.
Is it not?
No. So like,
Oh,
are they
wow.
holding
They didn't
that?
even put it out during. They just did a whole Mario Donkey Kong thing. And they
Yeah.
just put it out.
Did not put it out.
I'm pissed.
Me
No,
too.
yeah.
No, it's okay. We're all fine. So anyway, maybe that comes out. PlayStation has announced a state of play for today, Tuesday.
Predictions.
We're not going to do predictions, but we'll predict a little bit. Today, Tuesday, September 24th at 3 p.m. Pacific time. They promise 30 minutes of, quote, news and updates on over 20 titles. Jeremy, you excited about this?
I mean,
You've been making a lot of noise for being not excited.
I'm okay. I'll be honest. I'm not excited. I'm only not excited because state of plays have been traditionally quite lame,
Yes.
and usually they're not ever announcing. And there's like not a lot of
check in
announcements.
with things,
Yeah, they
yes.
check in with things, and I think PlayStation's in a really sorry state right now, unfortunately, where they're just in a remasters K-hole and upgrading to Pro K-hole, and we're making Last of Us again and again. Like they can't seem to get themselves out of the mess they've made.
Right. I said I was in a gaming rut. I think they're in a gaming rut.
And that's probably why, to some extent.
Great point. Yes.
Yeah, like I know people are predicting like a Horizon Zero Dawn remaster. It's like,
okay.
I do not care.
I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn right now.
Well, Patrick, stop.
Well, I mean, I might.
It is probably going to be.
They're going to remake it.
Yeah,
yes.
they're going to remake it. But these games, none of them are that old. None of them. I don't know who's clamoring for them. Days Gone remake. You want that?
No.
See?
But
See?
well, okay, I guess you got me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Where I'm like, what until they're ready to like announce the new stuff that their like big studios are working on, Santa Monica, Naughty Dog, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I kind of am like, put it in an email and I'll read it.
Ghosts of Tsushima 2.
Sure.
Would that be exciting?
Yes.
Okay. Is Death Stranding 2 exciting?
Thing is, it's not a reveal anymore, right?
Would Spider-Man 2 DLC be exciting?
Not DLC, but I think like another like Miles Morales like.
Okay. So
That
like
could-
Venom, would that be
like a
exciting?
Venom, that could be exciting. Yes.
Wolverine, would that be exciting?
Of course, Wolverine's exciting.
Those are a few things that I can think of that could potentially
Be at this thing,
be at the thing.
but like a Resident Evil 9,
I don't
Code
see that.
Veronica remake.
Oh man, that would be great. I mean, yes, I would be thrilled. I didn't even think about that actually. But I don't see that happening. But I'd be thrilled.
So okay, all of this PlayStation-y stuff though is sort of just to be like, this is happening because TGS is kicking off this week, the Tokyo Game Show, and PlayStation is there and they're showing off games. So that's why they've got the state of play. Normally, Nintendo has a September Direct, and so we're kind of just using this as a like data point for like PlayStation's doing their thing in September. Nintendo, they had done these like little presentations in August. I don't think we're gonna get a Nintendo Direct
for the rest of the year.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, kinda.
You think they'll squeak one out last min?
When?
Tomorrow.
No. They're gonna counter program the state of play. Yeah. I mean, I just. Again, this is how I mark time. This is how I mark the change of seasons. And I think that Nintendo's probably not going to have one, even though this is clearly the spot and the time to do it.
Right.
Previously, Mark and I talked about the Switch bundles that are coming for the holiday season and noting how weird it is that the offerings in North America both come with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe packed in, while the Japanese Switch OLED comes bundled with Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Last week, Nintendo of Europe announced some new bundles for the PAL territories, including either Animal Crossing in the same configuration as the Target and Walmart bundles from a couple years ago with the Switch Lights, and another bundle with Nintendo Switch Sports. So Europe not doing Mario Kart in the same way that North America is like, all we can think to bundle this thing with is a Mario Kart.
I'm really curious about the sports edition, because that by all accounts that game didn't, I don't think, review particularly well, and people were not.
But it did sell well.
It did.
It sold over 10 million copies. Yeah,
great. I see. I didn't know that. I thought it was a kind of a bust.
Yeah, I mean, it is weirdly one of those. I mean, it's a without being a pack-in game and without having obviously the cultural impact of Wii Sports, it still has obviously some of that same appeal. So I think people just bought it to play with their grandparents, even if that never happened.
Did you play it?
Yeah.
Does it work?
Yeah, it totally works. And the online is functional and fun, and they found ways to do a lot of the elimination bowling is really quite fun and enjoyable. It does just work.
Buddy, you got to bring that next
Friday. We'll play it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge revealed new Radical Reptile DLC on Monday. Content is said to be available right now. It includes 2 new playable characters, Mondo Gecko and Mona Lisa, along with new musical remixes from guest artists, including Jake Kaufman of Shovel Knight fame and Anna Monoguchi of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World fame. But I wrote this little news item here, and then I was like, sweet, I'm going to go download this new DLC for one of my favorite games of 2022.
Yeah.
Guess what's not there, Jeremy?
I've already had this spoiled. The DLC is nowhere to be found.
It's nowhere to be found. I don't know if I have to buy it or not. It's not clear from the trailer. But even if I could buy it, it's not in the dang store.
Is this for Shredder's Revenge and not for the other Turtles game that just came out?
It is not for Splintered Fate, no. Okay. And it's not for the Mutant Mayhem one that either just came out or is about to come out. It is for Shredder's Revenge.
Okay.
And I'm obviously, I'm a big turtle freak.
Yes.
I like Shredder's Revenge quite a bit.
That's a good one.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
I think it's the best Turtles game I've ever played. Probably the best beat-em-up I've ever played. And they said you can play these 2 new characters, and I can't do it. Dude. Maybe by tomorrow it'll all be sorted out. But
hopefully.
As of recording time on Monday at 9 p.m., I get an hour ago when you arrived.
Maybe
they were not
9
there.
p.m. is when it unlocks.
Maybe. Okay, we've got 2 minutes. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
And finally, Sunday, September 22nd, marked Nintendo's 135th anniversary. The company did nothing to acknowledge this milestone, but what can one expect? Jeremy, do you have much affinity for pre-video game Nintendo?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think all that stuff, the playing card stuff, the
Hanafuda.
Yeah, the grab claw stuff, all
Ultra
of that
hand.
stuff. So fun.
The Super Machine, Ultra Machine.
Ultra Machine. Yeah. I again in Japan wasn't out there in time to make their museum launch, but understand it's parked in the same spot that their original place was. All them
this
many
factory
years
that made
ago.
cards. Yes.
Yeah, and very cool.
I know we've been going long, but there's a topic that I want to broach here. Can we broach this topic?
Please put a brooch on it. I'm ready to go to prom.
And I will put a boutonniere. You will put a boutonniere on me.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, and a corsage. Yes, corsage. Yes.
Yeah.
Astro Bot.
Coming to Switch.
No. Probably not. Astro Bot, a celebration of PlayStation IP and PlayStation hardware and stuff like that.
Yes.
There has been sort of discourse of late about how that sucks. And I wanted to get your take on it.
I just love that on its face. I think it's very funny to just say that out loud, but I don't think I feel that way.
It's
what is exactly what sucks?
The argument is that Team Asobi and PlayStation. I'm trying to articulate this argument. I don't believe it personally. I can sort of like see the rationale behind it, but it doesn't. It's not true to what I feel.
Yeah.
That they made this new game. It is a fun platforming game. It's easily accessible. People of varying skill levels can play it. It's fun. It is like the best PlayStation game of the year, right?
Yeah.
That premise, great, accepted.
Accepted.
And then there are also these like inclusions of IP from PlayStation's past. You are rebuilding a PlayStation 5. It is in some ways a commercial for the system you're playing the game on. And the argument, I think, is that like this is a soulless corporate celebration of its own identity.
Yeah.
But to that, I'm sort of like, how's that different from Smash? How's that different from going to Disney World or Disneyland? How's it different from like any of the weird ways that we like engage with brands that we like?
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, maybe it is soulless for me to like a brand, but I'm also like, I like the brand. What do you want from me?
This take feels very much akin to like baby's first ethics class or like baby's first philosophy class in college or something, where you start to realize like it's like the Fight Club thing of like, oh, I guess the things I own do own me, or
Yes.
And like, look, that's actually true.
Right. It's actually true, and we are sick.
Well, spoiler, it is true. The things you own do own you,
right.
And none of this matters. And even your own life doesn't matter. And actually, we're all animals, and there is no God, and like, yeah, there is a bleak reality connected to this idea. If you keep walking it further down, its logical conclusion. Here's my argument, though, against this specific case.
Yes,
you're rebuilding a PlayStation 5 in a game on the PlayStation 5. It's not like it's a commercial for a PlayStation 5. You already have it.
Right. They can't sell. Well, I mean, they are trying to sell you another one in the
they
form
might
of
be trying to sell you another
Pro,
one. Yeah. But I guess, this is not. This to me doesn't feel as nefarious as, sneaking this into a different circumstance where you'd be forced to do something you wanted to do but had to build a PlayStation first or something.
Like if somehow this was a phone game or something.
If, for example, they were downtown handing out free meals but made you build a PlayStation 5 before you could get your free meal, that would be like...
But they're also giving out free meals.
Well, yeah, but it's like dystopian nightmare.
Sure,
like,
right.
I also think that this game was made not by Sony, in my opinion. Maybe the studio is owned by Sony. I actually don't know a lot about
it. It is, yeah, Team Asobi. Yeah, they are owned by PlayStation, Sony and PlayStation. But
because this game is so radically nostalgic for things that Sony does not care about.
Sure.
I have always theorized, in the past month since this game has been out, that it's this team that really loves this stuff.
Right.
I don't think Sony pressured them into putting Legends of Dragoon guy in
or
Astro
like
Bot.
Put Loco Roco in there.
Yeah,
we're gonna sell a new Loco Roco or whatever.
They're never gonna make Loco Roco again.
Right.
I think it's this team that has a lot of love for these IPs and stuff, and I think that's kind of valid, and but yeah,
I mean that the higher pitched voice there at the end is it like that's the part that like I can see where you're like, yeah, there is something a little bit gross about like worshiping an IP or a brand or something.
But is that I might even, and maybe it's just because I want to play devil's advocate to this take, but it's like, is that really what we're doing? Are we sitting there worshiping it, or are we just sort of...
We are spending time with it. We're being reverential to it, right? Like, and whether that equates to worship or not, tough, because I feel like it's two atheists at a table. What do we know what it means to worship anything? I don't know.
Yeah. And we also happen to live in a particular time where it is quite confusing what it is we're all after. Like when I grew up in the 90s, and boy... buckle up. One of the biggest insults someone could throw at you is that you're a sellout.
Right. Doesn't exist anymore.
That concept, that idea just does not exist anymore at all. So
it's funny that we blew all the way through it, right? That like first it was shameful to be a sellout.
Uh-huh.
Then it was amazing that you could make money doing anything even remotely related to what you love. And now the movie industry has collapsed, and that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
That like selling out was bad, selling out was good, selling out is impossible.
Yeah.
We've done the whole thing.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get back to a point where selling out is bad. But like I know exactly what you mean, where it's like have we now like that the abstraction of like the corporate thing is bad, making money off of something is bad. Have we just obliterated that entirely?
Well, they won. So like the
Yes.
corporations actually ended up winning this war.
Yep.
And what we all miss is things that we used to know.
Mm.
So that's what culture is now. Like, so I would say this. I'm going to use Star Wars as a metaphor.
Great.
Astro Bot might be Star Wars Force Awakens.
Yeah.
It might be like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I just wanted you to do Star Wars again.
Right.
Exactly down the
Yes.
barrel how it was the first time.
Uh-huh.
If I wonder if Astro Bot 3 is Rise of the Skywalker or whatever that last one was.
Yeah, it's Rise of Skywalker.
You know what I mean? Where
yes.
where there's a decline, people start to catch on and sort of like go, actually,
wait a minute.
I don't think I want this.
Right.
I thought I did,
Right.
but this is too much or too whatever.
Man, there is no way to use Rise of Skywalker as an analogy in a way that isn't going to bum me all the way out.
But do you see what I mean?
I do, yes.
Like, throw just one too many Loco Rocos at me, and I might turn on you in a second. You know?
And what I want as a response to Rise or to a Force Awakens is The Last Jedi. I want a radical deconstruction.
Of course you do.
And
thank you for having this opinion because it is the correct opinion.
Well, but I also recognize that like my wanting a radical deconstruction of everything at some point also gets like tired too. Like that's what happened to superheroes, right?
Yeah.
And it just like breaks the genre eventually, and you're like, okay, well now who cares about any of it?
Well, radical deconstruction is great because another word I might use is just new. Like
Yes.
a radical deconstruction is cool because in Star Wars that it was a new thing.
Yes.
Like I think what we all maybe kind of want and a lot of fan people out there maybe don't even realize they want newness and freshness because they want to be fans of other things that they can be nostalgic for later. Like
right.
If you keep doing God of War and Kratos and Atreus, if you keep doing it,
right.
We don't get to be nostalgic for it. You have to keep bringing new things, and it's expensive to do that, and it's riskier to do that.
Risky, yes.
So, I think Astro Bot works exactly this way one time.
Right, and we are experiencing that one time now,
and it's great.
Let's just love it. Let's take our parents to the movie. It's okay.
Yeah, but the take, I think that take is patently correct and patentedly yawning.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I'm glad I teased it out into a whole conversation about it.
Yeah. But it's good to bring these up too, though, because I do feel like it's almost like your friend just discovered like, wait, we're all eating Soylent Green? What? Like,
right.
And it's like,
yeah, grow up.
Actually, yeah, we are. And have you looked around at other things? They're kind of not going so well, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Like, because to some extent, look, it's not like yes, there was Astro's Playroom, there was Astro Bot Rescue Mission, but like this isn't a like venerated like long running franchise that like means something to anyone. Let it be a sort of like corporate send up of like iconography and characters that we like.
And I will say, Nintendo is,
yes,
along with possibly Disney, at least Disney for a long time, the absolute GOAT at doing this. Brand synergy, brand marketing, teasing things out, locking characters away in a vault, and then bringing them out 20 years later. Like, they are practically Gandalf at it. They're so good. And so, I mean, really, the bigger enemy, if this is a gripe you have, it is a company that is like Nintendo, sneakier and better at it, not PlayStation, who just threw up in front of you.
I just wonder, like, what, like, to like have this opinion of Astro Bot, where it's like, well, I suppose I could go and check, but what was this person's like view of Smash Brothers? Right? Like,
yeah,
how is it different?
it's probably not, and it's just being, it's like you're duped by it.
Yeah.
Because I also think you're overwhelmed with Smash in a different way, and that like there's something just a little bit about that they're all fighting each other. Like there's something where you're seeing them get their butts kicked.
I'm keeping it in.
It's just, yeah, I think Smash has a little bit of a leg, but you can almost feel like Nintendo.
I mean, we were talking about
do it
Nintendo World
too.
Championships,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
that's another like, oh yeah, this is just going to be like trotting out this old stuff, and it looks and sounds the way it did
Yeah.
35 years ago.
Yeah.
And we like it because of that, and not because it's anything new. But we also like the newness of it. So like,
yeah.
which I think is also true of Astro Bot, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we're just responding to. In fact, I know I'm not just responding to like the nostalgia stuff. I'm having fun with the platforming and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, for sure. And like it's not like these attempts haven't failed. So one thing I think you do have to give credit for in Smash and Astro Bot, even if you hold this opinion to be very intrinsic and it's almost like it would prevent you from enjoying the game, you'd have to give it credit for being very successful at it. Because look at the PlayStation Mini. That's an example of like,
right, yeah,
let's celebrate ourselves, and it just tanks. I mean,
Right.
or PlayStation All Stars, another attempt at this many years ago.
PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale.
Exactly.
Let's put the full respect on the whole title.
I didn't remember it was called that.
Well, and neither should you. All right, Jeremy, that was. Thank you for indulging that extra little bit of conversation there about Astro Bot.
We've been dancing. I mean, on my own podcast, we have been dancing around talking about this. We've been coming at it from a different angle, though. The angle that I have talked about Astro Bot with friends. I'm sure you've heard it.
Yeah.
It's just basically just like this is, at some point does come back around to I'm actually not experiencing joy. I'm experiencing sadness, and I think the sadness comes from like, oh, I do miss all of this stuff, and this isn't coming back.
Yeah,
they're not doing devil dice again.
But they're not. But look, let's go full Don Draper here, right?
Okay.
Because it's the whole carousel thing. It's the working with an old marketing guy named Teddy who said that nostalgia comes from a Greek word. It means the it's the feeling of an old wound, right? So that like the sadness is actually part of like what you're responding to positively.
Yes, sure.
So when you are trying to find a way to market the carousel, which displays slides from Kodak, you're saying that it's not the wheel, which is what everyone else wanted to call it, because it's not a spaceship, it's a time machine. And it's you're longing to go back to an easier time or a different time,
right?
And the sadness is part of it because you can't actually access those things.
Yeah.
So the sadness is good, is what I'm saying.
I think that is correct, and that like it's
the pain of an old wound is what.
But the thing is I'm not feel the sad. So when you're playing through a Nintendo thing, when they're just giving you nostalgia, nostalgia. I'm looking at Mario 8-bit, knowing, dang, there's a Mario right around the corner, and I can go play Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
In my fiction,
sure,
Mario's not dead. Mario's very much alive.
Okay, so just for the record, God dead.
God dead. Mario alive.
Very much alive.
However, I do think what is sad is less that like I'm nostalgic for the past with Astro Bot, more like I feel like I'm looking at dead things.
Yeah, but that's just a museum, right?
It's a museum of your own memories that are dead. Of people that are dead.
That's a good Charlotte song, right?
Gosh, I don't think they ever made anything like that, but I never bought an album.
Yeah, I mean, me neither. Who am I thinking of?
No, I think you're probably right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy, let's get out of the news. Jeremy Schmidt, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. What would you like to plug?
I mean, we've been talking about it. Thank you so much for allowing me to talk about it on the show.
Of
Video
course.
Games and Comedy Show is the podcast that I host. It is live on Twitch every Friday. I'm just going to say every Friday.
Sure.
Sometimes
most Fridays.
Sometimes I get into big trouble. stream.
Oh God, sorry.
But yeah, twitch.tv/supernpcradios is where you can find us streaming live 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But yeah, it's a fun, it's another video game show.
And I am guesting this week.
Patrick is going to be guesting this very Friday. We are doing a very special episode called A Space Solace, where we are going to fantasy draft our favorite games made in 2001. So the games had to have come out and been released in 2001, and there was a huge panel. So I cannot wait to do that episode because
great.
it's a good year, but was it that good? We'll find out.
No, probably not. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much. If you would like to be in our Discord, this is now to the listener. I'm not addressing you. You already are in the Discord.
Yes.
Email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society @gmail.com. That's right. And I'll send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by Apipetty. You can get more of his music by going to apipetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Jeremy Schmidt, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening.